Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United draw 2-2 against Tottenham, squandering a 2-0 lead. And I'm sorry, in certain games you can just go a point's not a bad result, but not against Spurs. Not against Spurs. To be anywhere near the word bottlers when you're playing Spurs is the ultimate sin in football. It's absolutely terrible from Manchester United tonight, and there is no excuses. I know the manager's got to make substitutions, but I think the substitutions were wrong at the wrong time, and I think the players that have come on and been worse than the players that came off. That can never happen. If you're making subs, it's normally because a player's tired or it's because you want to improve things. And time again in recent weeks, we're making subs and we're getting worse. Varane 2-0 up against Sevilla. We brought Maguire on and we were shit in the second half. We're 2-0 up again and we're making subs in the second half. And the fact is Spurs should have won. They had some big chances. Look at the Eric Dyer chance. Look at the Son chance. They could have had 4 in the second half. How do you go from 2-0 up to conceding 2 goals when it could have been 4 or 5? Spurs got what they deserved in the second half. It's incredibly bad from Manchester United, and I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. We lost away to Arsenal. We've lost away to Man City. We've lost away to Newcastle. We've lost away to Liverpool. We've lost away to Aston Villa. We may as well have lost to Spurs today. You know, the top 6 or 7 clubs, we've lost to them all apart from today. I mean, I suppose you can call it improvement. I think we're bloody lucky we didn't lose. It's just so tiringly bad. Links in the video description for the player ratings. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. And the frustrating thing is, in the first half, I think we played some of the best football we played this season. We were on the front foot. I liked the way that Lindelof and Shaw were playing high up. I liked the fact that we were moving the ball intricately and quickly. We were creating chances. Spurs were dreadful. We were all over them. It was 2-0. We could have been 3 or 4-0 up. We were the better side. We played really well. I felt the use of Rashford as the quick striker just meant that Spurs were scared. We had them on the ropes. We were 2-0 up. We're cruising. They've just lost at the weekend badly. The crowd's lost. You know, they're not interested. We're cruising towards a big 3 points. And you think, you know, we can only throw this away. And that's exactly what we did. Because obviously Spurs in the second half are going to come out and try something. You know, their manager, basically, his tactics will have been show a bit of pride in the shirt for the fans. You know, go out there and show a bit of fight. And if I'm Eric Ten Hag, I'm saying, all they're going to do in the second half is show a bit of passion. They're just going to be a bit of passion. They're going to put a couple of Duracell batteries in and they're going to run around a bit for 10 minutes. And all you've got to do is be more hungry than they are, switch on, pass the ball, let them tire themselves out, and then we'll win the game 2-0, 3-0, whatever. And what we did is we just bloody invited the pressure. Now, look, I want to talk about the first goal in a little bit, but realistically, they scored the first goal, right? We're not doing very well and they scored the first goal. What happens then is that immediately afterwards, we create a massive chance for Bruno Fernandes where he does really well. He should score. He hits the bar. It should be 3-1. But we show that we can go up the other end and we can create chances. So we're 2-1. We go up the other end. We should have made it 3-1. We didn't. Within 2 minutes, he takes Sancho and Eriksen off for Fred and Martial, and we go down to 9 men. Martial was rubbish, and Fred was even worse than rubbish. So we're 2-1, we've just created a chance to make it 3-1, and we weaken ourselves and make us a team that can't pass anymore. Fred was passing to Spurs more than he passed to a red shirt, and Martial couldn't be arsed. So, and I very rarely say that about Martial, but he couldn't be arsed tonight. He couldn't be arsed. And Spurs, we basically just handed Spurs a point. It's 2-1, we've played well in the first half, we've just created a really big chance for Bruno, and we take Eriksen and Sancho off. And we bring Fred and Martial on. Game over. Game over. We literally handed the initiative to them by taking off Eriksen and Sancho. And my query is, Eriksen got subbed off relatively early in the semi-final. He didn't play 120 minutes. I think he got subbed off in the second half. As did Martial. So as did Sancho. Sancho didn't start. So neither of those two players played 120 minutes. And yet they're coming off on the hour. I wonder if we've got some sports scientist laptop saying, now's the time to take Eriksen and Sancho off if we want to play against want them to play against Villa. Fuck Villa! Take the 3 points tonight, and if we draw with Villa or lose, we've got the 3 points tonight. I mean, I just don't get that substitution and where it's coming from. Eriksen and Sancho were playing well. I get the fact that you might want to make subs if you've got De Jong and bloody Mbappe on the bench, but we've got Martial and Fred. Fred's been playing crap recently and hasn't been playing. And Martial, well, you know, in an away game where we're not winning very often, I don't know. Fred needs to get deported, says Gustav. Malacia will never become a decent player. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Missed the first half when I was effing terrible. What was going on with Fred, says Sean. It's simply we're not defending the wings. Rashford and Bruno know that Spurs use wings and put crosses in and they didn't cover our fullbacks. And every time Rashford got the ball, he didn't run, says Addy. Look, I think apart from the goal, Rashford had a disappointing game. I'm not going to deny that, as big a fan as I am. It's my birthday and this bottle job completely ruined it, says Bleach. He needs to stop changing Anthony and Wan-Bissaka so early. Them subs cost us tonight. Shows we need a striker like Kane in the summer, says Lee. Well, I think we will try and sign Kane. But look, you know what? As I say, I think the Martial and the Fred subs don't make any sense. And then it gets worse. Not only do we give the initiative to Spurs by taking off Eriksen and Sancho and bringing on Martial and Fred, we then hand them even more initiative, because then we decide to take Anthony off, a right winger, for Weghorst, who's basically just, I mean, I don't know what he is. Effort. He's just a can of effort. There's no ability there really at this level. It's just pure and utter run around and not very quick. So Bruno goes from 10 to right wing, which I never understand. So in the space of a few minutes, we go from a midfield three of Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno to Casemiro, Fred and Weghorst, and we've got Rashford and Bruno on the wings and Martial up front. We just destroy it. This is therapy. I'm actually explaining why we drew the game, and I'm actually feeling a little bit more understanding. I mean, what chance have you got when you go from Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno, who've dominated the first half and started the second half slow, admittedly, to Casemiro, Fred and bloody Weghorst? And Bruno goes to the wing and Rashford goes to the wing and neither of them are tracking back. I mean, we're very lucky not to have lost. But it pisses me off. It really, really pisses me off. Because Spurs are crap. And nobody should be losing a 2-0 lead to Spurs. And I say losing because we lost a 2-0 lead for a draw. The subs are weird tonight, and ultimately the bigger picture is I don't think Erik ten Hag wants to look behind him and see Weghorst and Fred and Brandon Williams and Pellistri. I don't think he wants to look behind and see that. I think he wants to look behind him and see better options. But that's embarrassing tonight. It feels like a defeat. It really is. And you know what? Volta's right. Where's Sabitzer in this game? Exactly. Bringing on Weghorst when we just conceded is like taking the wheels off your trolley after a big shop, says Jake. I mean, I very nearly tweeted it, but I just couldn't be arsed for all the Weghorst fan club saying, but he kissed the ball at the weekend and ran to the fans when we won. I mean, that's just passion. That's not ability. You need more than that in games. Rebs, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Noticing for a few games that our players don't try to win the headers when passed from the back, and why does Dave get blamed for his, says Shivam. The second goal, look, let's talk about the goals. They scored 2 goals, right? I literally woke up my girlfriend screaming no when Weghorst and Malacia came on, says Nelson. Let me just talk to you about the goals that we conceded, right? The first goal is, I just want to say, Spurs probably deserved to win it in the second half. They certainly deserved a draw. Eric Dyer, missed an absolute sitter with his head, and Son should have scored as well. They definitely had enough chances to get a draw. So Spurs aren't lucky to get back into this game. There's a couple of things I'd say about the goals. The first goal is offside every day of the week. I don't even know why it wasn't reviewed by VAR. And I'm not making excuses. Andy Cheatham says, why not bring Sabitzer on? And I don't want to make excuses, but ultimately we won the penalty shootout at the weekend, and I still had to say the referee was crap, because he was. When a Spurs player is stood on the line in the area of the goal that the shot goes in, and De Gea can't actually get across if he wants to, that's interfering with play. I'm sorry, it is. I'm not saying De Gea was going to make the save, but that's not what the rule book says. Are you interfering with the goalkeeper? Yes, he stood right in the area where the ball goes, right next to the keeper. For me, that is interfering with play. But Anthony Taylor's the referee, so what do you expect? The second goal, and before the second goal, I think Dyer missed the free and Son missed 2 good chances. So, Spurs deserve a point. There's no doubt about that. The second goal, David De Gea hoofs it, which, will cause him some critics, with the same critics as normal. David De Gea hoofs it, which I think at that stage of the game, if he tried to pass out from the back and it went wrong, he'd get blamed anyway. So, I'm not really bothered about the hoof, really. If in doubt, boot it away. We're under pressure. Rashford doesn't challenge for the header and loses it. And then Malacia I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Malacia is doing, really, to be honest with you. I don't. For me, the goal is on Malacia. I just do not know what he's doing. And again, Fred came on, made us worse. Martial came on, made us worse. Malacia came on, made us worse. And Weghorst came on and made us worse. And when you look at it like that, we're probably lucky to get a point because 4 players out of 11 is nearly half the team. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't lose. And not only that, 4 players made us worse, but we put Bruno on the wing. And Rashford went on the left. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And you know what? Everybody's game suffers. I feel for people like Dalot and Luke Shaw and De Gea and Lindelof and Bruno, because I think they were having very good games. And their games get dragged down by the shit around them. And this is what happens. It becomes an infection. It becomes a bloody pandemic. Good players' games get ruined by the shit around them. It's chaos. Luke Shaw was and probably still will get man of the match, but he was looking at having a really good game, and then there's chaos all around him. You can't be dominating and superior when there's chaos around you. Thank you for the photos we took in Sunderland Nando's on Tuesday. My 2 sons were buzzing that they met you and gave them yeah, Bruce, that wasn't me. Pro, all this sub talk is just people trying to play manager after the fact. Come on now, is Eric not supposed to use our subs after the FA Cup, says Tevin. Tevin, you don't make any sense, mate. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I think we've completely established that you've got to make substitutes, but I think the substitutes were wrong. And they were done at the wrong time. There has to be accountability. There has to be, reflection. There has to be learning. We spend so long throwing players under the bus, but actually there's a collective problem here. I'm in no way saying Ten Hag's not the right man for Manchester United. I'm 100% behind him. I think everybody is. But that was... He's got to learn in the Premier League that there's certain places that you cannot give up a 2-0 lead. And it's Spurs. You can't fucking... They should have beat us in the second half. It's so annoying that happened. And I'm just looking at the first goal here. I mean, really, Richarlison's just stood right next to David De Gea. He's right next to him. Even if De Gea wants to, he can't do anything in that area of the goal because he's got Richarlison behind him. Joke. Anyway, look, we've got a massive game against Aston Villa at the weekend, and somehow we've got to try and find our way back into it. And I think just before we do the player ratings, Yank says, I really hate to admit it, I think Ten Hag deserves some of the blame. Of course he does. I'm Ten Hag's biggest fan, but of course he does. I personally wouldn't have brought Fred on. I would have kept Eriksen and Sancho on. I would have kept Sancho and Eriksen on for another 5 minutes. I think he did the subs too early. I think all the subs were too early. I don't know. It was almost like they were pre-planned. Whatever the result, I'm going to make these subs. Subs made us worse, but the whole team was drifting from the start of the second half, says McAlvis. There is massive mentality issue with some players that will never be cured, says Alan Kenny. Casemiro was terrible, and we already lost control before the subs came on. We are bottlers, simple as that, says Amika. Yeah, but what I'm saying is the subs made us even worse. Nobody's denying that we started the second half badly, but the subs made us even worse. Wan-Bissaka, my man of the match till he came off. What a player since he's found his place again. I disagree, Oliver. I think Wan-Bissaka had a bad game today. I think Richarlison was giving him all sorts of problems all game. I don't think it was his best game by a long way. Came out in the second half like we'd won it again, says DeMarc. And I'm starting to think we don't play the long ball out because our infield players can't win it, be it on their head or just control them with the first touch. I don't like, and really good point from Mad Bro, I don't like the way we bring Weghorst on, who is next to useless at number 10, to put Bruno on the right wing. I hate the way we've got a number 10 who is really good, and we put him to the right wing to accommodate Weghorst as a number 10, who I've never seen as a number 10 in my life until he came here. I hate that. I absolutely hate it. I had to stop myself from tweeting when it happened, because I bloody hate it. And if you're going to do that, why not put Sabitzer there? So, yeah, it is what it is. Of course it is. But before we do the player ratings, I do just want to show you this, because obviously the league table is probably something people are thinking about. So let's just have a quick look at this before we do the player ratings. So that's how the league table is looking at the moment. We've still got a game in hand on Newcastle, so we could go ahead of them. But we've got 7 games to go. We are 2 games in hand on Spurs. I wouldn't worry about Spurs. We've got 2 games in hand on Villa. Now, if Villa beat us at the weekend, they would be 3 points behind us, but we'd still have 2 games in hand. Liverpool have also got 1 game in hand on us, but obviously they are 7 points behind us. Top 4 is still very much within our hands. You know, we've got 4 points to. Sorry, we need to get to 10 points. We need to get to 70 points, basically. If Liverpool won every single game they've got left, then they could get 71 points. If Villa win every single game that they've got left, then they, like Spurs, could get to 69 points. So really, we just need to win 4 games out of 7. We've got Fulham at home. We've got Chelsea at home. We've got West Ham away. I think we've got Wolves at home. Got Brighton away. I think we've got Bournemouth away. But look, we've got plenty of games to win. I still think we will get top 4. Of that, I've got no doubt. But we're making it hard for ourselves. And today, we should have been making it very easy. And I think that's the annoying thing. I still think we'll get top 4. But we've made it really hard for. Well, no, I haven't made it really hard. We've made it harder for ourselves tonight, and that's the irritating thing. We just didn't need to do it. Didn't need to make it hard for ourselves. Should have just gone and won. And as I say, you know, I'm not really going in on individual players, and I'm certainly not going in on the manager, but I'm just very frustrated. There's nothing worse than giving up a 2-0 lead to Spurs, because they are the quintessential jelly babies. They've got no spine at all. Even their fans will tell you that. So, I don't know. Just disappointing. And also, as well, it becomes very boring having to listen to the same nonsense after the game again about mentality. We've got to do better. It's every bloody week. I prefer points on the board rather than games in hand, says Oliver. Me too. Malacia made the same mistake as the Sevilla game. Yeah, George's positional sense has gone out the window recently. Could have played both Eriksen and Sabitzer. Maybe even take care Casemiro if we have to put the rest of the subs as sleepers, as opinionated. And I'm starting to think we don't. I've done that one. Okay, let's do player ratings. Let's do the player ratings. Let me just say this. Player ratings. Okay. David De Gea for me today is probably a 6. 5.9 from you. Yeah, there was. Look, I don't think at half time. I think at half time David De Gea is having a good game. I think in the second half, I don't think he's at fault for either goal. I don't think David De Gea's had a bad game. It's just a bad result, isn't it? I mean, look, again, people will say, well, he's hoofed the ball there, but I think ultimately his overall game was decent. I just don't want to give him a good score when it's a shit result, really, if I'm being honest. Wan-Bissaka, for me, I would give him a 5.5 today. I actually think Wan-Bissaka was probably the right substitution. You know, I do think it was the right substitution. Out of all the subs, I think that was probably the most logical one, because he was on a yellow card and he was looking tired. And I think that Dalot to right back and Malacia to left back is a substitution that's very logical. I don't think the Fred one and the Martial one and the Weghorst one. I mean, if I was ranking all those subs, Wan-Bissaka for Malacia to move to low, I think that is the most logical one. I think the second most logical one was probably Fred for Eriksen, but it happened too soon, and Fred was dreadful. The Weghorst one would be the worst one. So, yeah. But no, I don't think Wan-Bissaka was at his best today. I thought Richarlison was their best player in the first half. So he had a difficult game, Wan-Bissaka, today. But he's been brilliant in recent weeks. But I think the sub was probably right. It just didn't bloody work. Lindelof, probably 6.5 for me. I thought he was really good. And then he just got overrun. We just fell apart, didn't we? But I think Lindelof and Luke Shaw were so good in the first half. And I feel bad for those two more than anything because they've been doing really well. And the team just let them down. And then, when you're at centre-back and there's runners all over the place, it reflects on you. That Eric Dyer header, that's not Lindelof or Shaw's fault. That's Fred's fault. The chance that Son misses on the back post, that's not Lindelof's fault. The goal, that's not Lindelof's fault. Either of them. But it reflects on you, doesn't it? Luke Shaw, for me, 7. I'd give him man of the match. And I appreciate what people are doing in the chat. I've said 6.5 for Lindelof. The chat's gone with 6. I've said 7 for Luke Shaw. People have gone with 6.6. And that's exactly what I predicted would happen. Luke Shaw and Lindelof had good games today. But unfortunately, their good games have been hindered and ruined by people around them, which is logical. We've just conceded 2 goals. But I think Luke Shaw was brilliant and he would be my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in the first half. And again, he just got overwhelmed like Lindelof in the second half because you can't be structured and organised when everything in front of you is chaotic. I mean, literally, it was like we went down to 7 men with those 4 subs. It was chaos. Absolute chaos. Delo, I was impressed with Delo. I'd give him a happy 6. I think he was flawless in the first half. And then the second half, when he went to right back, it just went wrong, didn't it? Casemiro, it's got to be a 5.5. Yeah, I mean, 5.1. People are going in on him. I don't like conspiracy theories, but it feels to me like with Casemiro, we've lost him. And we've lost him because of the refereeing. And I'm just wondering how happy he is in England. I'm starting to worry now because those refereeing decisions were a disgrace, by the way. I've seen Matoma last week do a worse tackle than Casemiro did against Southampton and get a yellow. I've seen Jack Grealish grabbing a collar last night. I've seen Xhaka grabbing a headlock. Neither of them even got a yellow card. I don't think they did. If they did, they certainly didn't get a red. And I just think Casemiro's game, it's not fitness because he's had loads of times off. I just think Casemiro, something's changed in him. And if we've lost him because of the bad officiating, something's changed in him. Is it trust? Is it confidence? But something's definitely changed in Casemiro. We've seen it over the last few weeks. Up until that red card against Southampton, he's one of the best players in Europe. Since he's come back, he's a shadow of him for himself. And I feel like we're losing him. We've got all these buy-in rumours. And I feel like he's been ruined by the officiating. And he's been scapegoated. And he has been targeted. And I think Manchester United, if they were anywhere near responsible, there'd be a dossier going to Howard Webb saying, this example, this example, this example, this example, this example, no red card. And Casemiro did the same, red card. And then the tackle, this example, this example, this example, this example, no red card. Casemiro gets a red card. It's not... I think he has been victimised. I think he has lost his confidence. And, it's a shame because he didn't play well today. He's lost his edge. I think he's lost his edge because basically he's been picking up red cards for things that he's done all his career. And he shouldn't be getting red cards for. And now he's having to think about things. And then you lose your edge. Christian Eriksen was actually all right. 6. Shouldn't have been taken off. Bruno, I'd give him a 6. 6.5. Yeah, I don't think... I thought Bruno played well. Why is he going on the bloody right wing? I don't get why our best player gets put on the fucking right wing so Weghorst can play at number 10. I've always hated it. I still hate it. I don't understand how your most influential player and your captain goes right wing to let Weghorst play at number 10. Put Weghorst on the fucking wing. I don't get it. Anthony probably wasn't his best game today, 5.5. It was a shame. Took a step back today, Anthony. Even in the first half, there were some nice little bits, but bit of indecision. I like Anthony. It wasn't his best game today. But he shouldn't have been coming off of Weghorst. Sancho, for me, was a steady 6, even a 6.5. I wouldn't have took him off. Yeah, don't agree with it. Wouldn't have took him off at all. Rashford, you've got to give him a 6 for the goal. I think around that, he was good in the first half. Second half, disappeared like many people. Fred, probably a 4 for me. I mean, I like Fred, and I think Fred can be brilliant, but unfortunately, he can be 4, Fred. And it was poor today from Fred. I mean, I think people thought, I could see people in the chat saying, let's get him on. And then people were going, why did we bring him on? I think the subs were made too early. I really do. Martial, you've got to give him a 4 as well. Slightly better than Fred, but not a lot. Malacia, 4 as well. And then Weghorst, a 4 as well. I mean, look at the sub marks. Every sub is getting 4 or below. Even the bad performances in the first team. 5.5, Anthony. 5.1, Casemiro. 5.8, Delo. 5.8, Wan-Bissaka. 6s for De Gea, Lindelof. 6.6, Luke Shaw. Look at why we lost the game. Every sub made us worse. Ten Hag 5 for me today. First half, brilliant. Second half, just you know, I think the Wan-Bissaka sub is logical. I think the Fred and the Martial sub was too soon, and it handed the initiative. And the Weghorst one to put Bruno on the wing, I don't understand that. I really don't. Player ratings. Man of the match, Luke Shaw. He deserved it. Smash a like on the video for Luke Shaw. He definitely deserved man of the match today. He was the best player on the pitch. And if there's one positive, we can't go back to Lindelof and Maguire at centre-back. We have to keep Luke Shaw at left centre-back. Whoever plays with him, it's got to be Luke Shaw at left centre-back. 100%. He is so much better than Lindelof or Maguire at left centre-back, and it's got to be him. Has to be. Fan forum will be interesting. Beth is in the studio. I wonder if she'll be pinning it all on De Gea. Tune into that. We'll push you over there now. Also, don't forget, this top 4 race is Villa on Sunday. We've got Villa, Brighton, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Fulham. Should beat Fulham at home. Should beat Chelsea at home. I'd expect to beat Bournemouth away. I'd expect to beat Wolves at home. So that's 5 wins plus West Ham away. There's 6 wins there. We only actually need 4. So we should be fine. Man United need to strengthen so bad. Yeah, look, Dylan, strength in depth is 100% needed. We know we need to go and buy in the summer. Let's go over to the fan forum. Can I just remind you, the link is in the video description for the Dublin show, June the 6th, end of season live show. What will we be talking about? Will we be talking about bottling top 4? Will we be talking about Man City with a treble? Or will we be celebrating 2 trophies and top 4 ourselves? Get your tickets. They're selling fast. The United Stand live end of season show in Dublin on June the 6th. Their tickets have been out today. Get them while you can. Links in the live chat. Trust me, get them quick. They go quick. And well, let's get over to the fan forum as well. I'll speak to you in a bit. Big day tomorrow with the sale as well. Keep an eye out.